Surrender to the power of the One. Surrender to the power of the One. Give yourself away. Give yourself away. Let go. Give yourself away. Give yourself away. Let go. Let go. Let go. Surrender to the power of the One. Surrender to the power of the One. Give yourself away. Give yourself away. Go. Give yourself away. Give yourself away. Let go. Let go. Let go. Let go. Let go. Surrender to the power of the One. Surrender to the power of the One.
So I invite you now, take a deep breath in. Allow yourself to feel the full presence and power of God here and now, in this very room. And with another deep breath in, allow yourself to let go of any stress. Allow yourself to let go of any remaining tension. Breathing into your heart and letting go of fear. Breathing into your mind, letting go of thoughts of fear, worry, concern. As you fully relax and open, feel yourself supported right where you're seated. And with your next deep breath in, consciously draw in divine love. Allow love to move into your heart center now, opening your heart, allowing and erasing resentment, any unforgiveness for self or for others, allowing the full power of divine love now to infill us, the very deepest place in our hearts, expanding our hearts, filling our torso with divine love, feeling that warmth, that stretch, feeling compassion, understanding, and greater love as it moves past the limitation of our physical being and surrounds us in the space around us with a warm embrace of love. Divine love now connects us heart to heart. And with another deep breath in, drawing in divine life into our physical being, allowing that life to be powered by divine love and guided by divine intelligence, so that that life may melt away any resistance or obstacles to the fullest expression of life in every cell, tissue, organ, body system, harmonizing, strengthening, balancing, bringing power, vitality, strength. Feel that life at its highest vibration moving through us now. With another deep breath in, drawing in divine light into our minds, allowing that illumination to melt away negative thinking, illusions, allowing this state of enlightenment now to activate our gift of vision and imagination, to see the truth beneath conditions, that we may follow a path to the highest expression of our lives, seeing the light upon the path and knowing what is ours to do, guided by wisdom and divine guidance. And with another deep breath in, we now move into the inner sanctuary of our hearts. And in this new space, let us relax, let us rest, let us renew in the quiet, in the depths of us, as we listen to the still small voice for God that speaks in the silence as we listen now. Thank you, Blessed Spirit. You do speak to us in the depths. You are with us always. We feel your holy presence in us, through us, bringing new ideas, bringing an opportunity to make a new choice of the heart, ways to accelerate the life force in our physical being, through support and nurture of our physical bodies. Whatever it is that we are guided to do, to bring to our lives, we are perfectly aligned in all three aspects of our being. And as we return to this time and place, we know that in this time of quiet, we have received deeply. We have been taught. We have been opened. And we are grateful. And in this gratitude, we feel our grace filling us now. And we say, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. So it is.
Give yourself away. Give yourself away. Let go.
Back, as well as some of the lesson quotes that would be of use to you as opportunity for you to carry home some of the thoughts that you have. So just keep that in mind. Today we are picking up our series on Encounters with Jesus. And in this, we are looking at a particularly, I'd say, familiar parable that Jesus taught. It is the one of the sower sowing seeds. And there's an interesting way that we can look at it, not just from the way we may have been taught about it, but also the way in which we can apply it to our lives in this living moment. Aligning with intentions, opening ourselves to how it is that we can be most productive with our power and with our sense of intention, and seeing what it is that we're really here to do. And so this begins in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 8, verses 4 through 16. It's known as the parable of the sower. So when a great crowd gathered and people from town after town came to him, he said, in a parable, a sower went out to sow his seed, and as he sowed, some fell on the path and was trampled on, and the birds of the air ate it up. Some fell on the rock, and as it grew up, it withered for lack of moisture. Some fell among thorns, and the thorns grew with it and choked it. Some fell onto good soil, and when it grew, it produced 100-fold. As he said this, he called out in a loud voice, "Let those with ears to hear listen." He was calling them up short to think more deeply into this. Because I'll tell you, even though we are looking at it, we may have heard it many times in other traditions or read it in the Bible ourselves. And we know that there is an explanation that's been tacked on in the Gospel of Luke that really seems to be trying to apply it in what we would know as traditional Christian terms, and in understanding that sometimes the devil would try to take us off our path and that sort of thing. But I really believe that in Jesus' teachings to the people at the time, because that interpretation would have been tacked on decades later, if way beyond Jesus' time, way beyond even the life of his disciples. And so to look at it just as it's delivered, just as it's given, gives us freedom to see all of the ways in which it can apply to what is the challenges that we have. And so one fun thing to do is to put ourselves in the place of the people he would have been speaking that parable to at that time. Here's a sower who's planting seeds. These are people who themselves plant seeds. They sow for their own nourishment and for their own food. If they're not employed that way or working for somebody, they are certainly doing that in the plot of land that they have or in their own spaces, because that is how people sustain themselves. And if you are a sower, and you know, if you are a farmer, if you're a planter, if you're harvesting these things, you also know that to cultivate the seeds for next year is an extremely important process, that you take from the abundance of the harvest and you always set back a portion of it to harvest the seeds and try to make the very best seed preparation and nurture for them, so that next year when you plant them again, you'll have a full harvest because your life depends on it. And so when these people were hearing about the sower who was throwing it in the rocks and throwing it on the path and throwing it into the thorns and into the briar patch, and only some of it falling in the prepared space of the fertile ground that you would have prepared to have the best chance to really nurture these seeds. This guy's got to be cuckoo. He's got to be drunk. Something's wrong with him, because why would you just start throwing your seeds everywhere? That's why Jesus said, "He who has ears, listen." Because the question is, why indeed would someone do that? Why would we take the power that we have, the ideas that we have, and not throw them where they're going to be used, put them to use in the most positive and productive way? Why would we go unconscious and allow our power to be usurped by other people in our lives, by other agendas, allow ourselves to be distracted, allow ourselves to go unconscious and keep going through rote, same old status quo, for not allowing ourselves to recognize when there's an opportunity for us to have a new thought, a new creative way of being, and to nurture that and to plant that in the right direction, to gather resource around it. If we look back through the different things that happen in this parable, the seeds that fall on the path, trampled by traffic and birds eating, reminds me of another place of Jesus' teachings where he talks about, do not throw your pearls before swine. Don't take something that is precious to you, that has a purpose, that others may not understand, that others may not be able to support you in, that may not be able to sign on your team and love you and give you, useful criticism, but also lots of nurture and support that can see for you what you sometimes doubt about yourself. This is the usefulness of putting it where it can gather the most nurture, not only for yourself, but in your life as well. Working with people who can partner with us, and people and not choosing people who have different agendas from us. You know who they are. You know who you're safe with and who you're not. Another part of the parable where seeds are thrown falling on the rock, withered for lack of sustenance. Some of our intentions get lost in the actual follow-through. We might launch an idea, and we think that if it's good enough, it'll just sort of take root all by itself, and it'll just happen with no effort from ourselves and no intentionality, no follow-through for us. And we just go, oh, well, it's just another one of those ideas. I don't know. That was just a crazy idea I had. I don't know. I threw it out there. I talked about it for a little bit, but then nothing really happened. We're not nurturing it. We're not following through. We're not applying our energy to it. Failing to plant the idea or fully invest ourselves will have poor results naturally. Tony Robbins, a motivational speaker and author, he says, one reason so few of us achieve what we truly want is that we never direct our focus. We never concentrate our power. Most people dabble their way through life, never deciding to master anything in particular. Being able to use and focus our power with the power of intention, to be willing to say, this is really useful. This could really be something. This is something that really excites me when I think of it or when I see it. I could see how my gifts and my skills and my experience could make that happen. And then we let whatever other destructive thoughts or whatever self-defeating thoughts come in to take that out of it, to dilute our picture, to cut away at our sense of confidence. And we don't, for whatever reasons, we don't find ourselves applying ourselves and putting it into action. Because really and truly, we can't make something happen. Farmers don't make seeds grow. They simply cooperate and participate in setting the stage for the best possible growth. But the mystery of growth happens in the damp darkness of the soil, in the middle of the night, in the times when the chemistry of rain showers mixed with light from a sun millions of miles away fall on it and produce just the right elements at the right time for the mystery of life to be repeated in new and amazing ways, never the same way twice, but always with the same kinds of ingredients. This is how we cooperate with something greater than ourselves. We don't make it happen, but we participate in its nurture. That's ours to do. Nobody does that for us. Some of the seeds fall among thorns. Thorns grew with it and choked it. Now those seeds of weeds and thorns are actually in us. These are the negative and conflicting energy, negative thinking within ourselves that works against our intentions. Sometimes we don't even voice the idea or the passion that we have because we're just not good enough, because we judge it, because we fear failure because we are afraid of thinking too much of ourselves. We're afraid that we'll sound stupid, or we'll get out there, we'll put ourselves out there and risk something, lose something, or get people's judgment, or in some ways we'll actually fail at it and we'll be embarrassed because we said something out loud. And rather than jump any of those hurdles, we just keep it to ourselves. And we assume that really this isn't for us. This is just a crazy idea. Our own negative thinking sows thorns, judgment, and will choke the life out of an idea before it ever has a chance to grow. So these are the things that Jesus is reminding us about, how to be intentional with the impossibly sacred, potent part of what it is that we're here to do and to be, the next new thing, the next experience, the next emanation of that, the thing that is calling us into being more fully present, to be a better expression and better version of ourselves than we are right now. A little bit bigger, a little bit more, a little bit higher. Marcy Alberghetti says, the grocer was offering shoppers the chance to buy a small box of food to be donated to needy families for Thanksgiving. The boxes were stacked at the checkout area, and for an extra $5 above their own order, folks could contribute a box to the huge bin that was in the center of the store. It was a very big deal, with clerks making a point of carrying over each box that was purchased to the large container every time somebody donated. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't like to make a very big deal about things. I don't like to be noticed in a big crowd, especially when it comes to charity. I'm a firm believer in Jesus' admonition not to let the right hand know what the left hand is doing when giving alms. So when the clerk asked me if I wanted to contribute, I said sure. But when she asked me to sign the box, I smiled uncomfortably. Sign the box? The box had a few printed lines where the contributor could make a message and write a message and sign their own name to it. I grimaced and shook my head, no, thank you. She picked up the marker and wrote in large looping script, Happy Thanksgiving, enjoy, and carried it over and dropped it into the bin. After watching her, I slunk out of the store, ashamed that I'd lost the chance to lend a bit of humanity to my gift. We are our own worst enemy at times. We find ourselves from old understandings, parts of us from way back, judgments that we carry forward that others have inflicted on us perhaps, that were painful, and we still believe there's some truth in them. And sometimes they're so old and unconscious, we're not even aware that we don't challenge them. We just live within them. We allow them to keep us small until confronted with a desire that would make us reach past it, to examine what is it that keeps us limited, keeps us back, holds us back. What other message do we have that maybe in the light of our new experience, of our place where we are in consciousness today, we would challenge and say, there's no there. There's no truth in that. It's not who I am. That's not what I'm being. It's an old idea. Because you see, what we're called to in each living moment is an opportunity to show more of our soul, our bright, amazing divinity within us, the untouchable part of us that cannot be eroded, cannot be condensed, cannot be shrunk, cannot be hurt or damaged. There's a part of us that is eternal. And with that comes an eternal opportunity to be that, with no expiration date. God doesn't call us into being, and if we miss this window of opportunity way back when I was 20, that would have been a good thing to do, but now, of course, I can't do it anymore. Because, a path not taken, one of those deals. But I could have, I would have been good. You know what? If that's still inside of you, it doesn't matter that it doesn't take that form, perhaps, but that energy, that life, that love, that call, the thing that makes your tail wag despite yourself, that your pulse goes up, your eyes get bright, your teeth show when you're talking about this great thing that somebody ought to do. Not you, but if somebody should do it because it's such a cool idea, right? This thing, that's how you know it's still alive in you. And it's looking for a place to be and an opportunity for us to own it, to write our name on it, to stand up for it, to speak for it, and to, in the context of our lives today, with the gifts and skills and resources we have, make it so. Bring it to life. Maybe not the way you would have in your 20s or 30s or 40s or whatever, but how you would do it today, and know that that is your contribution to the ongoingness of greater good. You plant your seed, eyes wide open, with intention. And forgive yourself for the errors you've made in the past, for the road not taken at different other junctures, for the ways in which things that you've tried your hand at didn't turn out the way you thought they might. Because as Mark Nepo, an author and spiritual teacher, says, there are no wrong turns, only unexpected paths. You're not punished for trying your hand at something that's never been done. By you, for sure, and probably by the world in just your way. You're always being called. It's the bells being rung over and over. The offering is always there, because I'll tell you what, the fear thoughts, those thorns, those weeds that would choke the life out of your idea, is always powered by fear. Anytime it gives you pause, anytime you get ready to jump into it and something stops you, oh, I didn't think of that, I should probably not do that. I feel too concerned, I'm too worried, I didn't think about that. Anytime that something holds back, it doesn't mean good wisdom, good judgment, all those things have to be weighed in, and you're the person who knows what your tendency is. Do you jump without looking? Do you need to put a little bit more pre-thought into things so that you can really nurture them properly and give them what they need? Or are you someone who really has sat back way too long and has let those fears keep them seated instead of leaping into whatever's next? As we do that, as we take those steps, I'll tell you that anything that holds you back in terms of fear, anything that holds you back in times of, and gives you messages of unworthiness or past time or anything, any other thing like that holds you back are not messages from God. That is not how the universe speaks to us. It is always potentiality. It's always in front of us. It's always pulling us. It's always calling us higher. And it's always the right time. Always the right time. Over and over and over again, if necessary. It is always the right time. Henry David Thoreau, an author, mystic, naturalist, said, if one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. If we just take the step, if we just have the audacity to hold to a dream, to speak those truths, to invite our team on board with us, those who love us, those who see for us, those who know who we really are, and remind us of who we are, and help to disabuse us of who we are not, so that we can do the things that are ours to do, then those are the ways we take those steps in advancement of a dream. No matter where it leads, whether or not it manifests as we once thought it would look like. It isn't a prescription to a perfect, idealized idea. I'll tell you what, It is following the thread of the desire of the heart that will take you there. And here's the thing, that what you get to will be so much bigger than the thing you started off thinking it was going to be. I know you know this from your own experience. I know you've done this many times, where you've just set out naively towards a goal, thinking it was going to be this, and it turned out to be something so much bigger. I tell you what, in my own experience, the disappointments, I'll tell you what, I am grateful that I did not get my prayers answered exactly the way I wanted, because I would have lived so much smaller. I know you know that too. Things you couldn't have known, you couldn't have imagined, were imagined for you. And then Jesus said, some fell into good seed, into good soil, and when it grew, it produced 100-fold. Because you see, all the seeds don't produce necessarily. They all may be planted in good soil. They may all be watered and nurtured, but there's unevenness in the organic process. But those that take root, those that are nurtured, those that are meant to live, those that have that right combination, grow. And they don't just, a handful of seeds does not produce a handful of seeds. It produces 100,000 seeds. And that's the joy of this amazing journey and the guarantee. And I'll tell you what else it is. It is the promise. It is the promise. If you follow this pollen path, as Native Americans call it, the beauty above, the beauty below, the beauty to the left, to the right, in front, behind, you are on the pollen path. You know you're on your journey, no matter what you encounter. And the promise is 100-fold will be the result. When we use our power with intention, we discover that this is the way that life works. So wake up, stay alert, pay attention, spend some time in deep prayer, meditation, quiet time, daydreaming. Be with these ideas, be with the thought, follow the bliss of your heart, follow what is it that calls to you, what excites you. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa, spiritual teacher, said, the winds of grace blow all the time. All we need to do is set our sails and catch the wind and follow which way it will carry us to a distant place that we have never been before, except in our dreams. Where do we put our attention rather than set our attention? Where do we put our attention rather than set our intention? What are we allowing to distract us? How do we allow others to steer us away from what we really want to do or be? How do we allow our fears and insecurities to stop us from trying something new? Those are the questions to ask ourselves and to see them coming. See them when they arise. Pull our power out of them and say, you don't belong here anymore. That's not the truth of me. That's not who I am, really. So let us set a new intention for our lives today. Let's use the words of Khalil Gibran, a mystic, a poet, an author. He says, today, we kneel only to truth, follow only beauty, and obey only love. We kneel only to truth, follow only beauty, and obey only love. Your heart knows what that means, knows how to ring the bell and bring your attention back. Let us stay attentive to the desires of the heart. Be vigilant that our words and actions match our intentions. Stay true to our vision and, above all, to our deepest intuition about where we're being led. Omid Safi, professor of Islamic studies specializing in Sufism, which is the mystical aspect of Islam. He says, every farmer who plants a seed takes a risk. We work through faith that the good deeds we do are to put down roots. The roots are invisible, but they sustain plants that may not give fruit for a while. But how lovely is this planting the seeds of love. Turn loose of knowing exactly how or when or why or who. Just know that what is and what is yours to do contributes to the greater good. Set your sails for grace and watch it fly. God bless you all.